I'm sorry I don't have any memories of Miss Garland, but this horse and trap brings back a lot of memories to me. I haven't seen one now in about 45 years. That's about as long as I've been in the United States. And, well, I'll turn you over to my sister Teresa here. She may know a little bit more than I.
No, I don't.
And I remember Vera Carey McCarthy.
That's right, yeah.
When she was the librarian in Baltimore. She's a little bit older than me. Not a lot, no, but a little bit, you know. So at this point, I'd like to thank all around Fenagh for putting on this reunion. It's really great to be here, to be able to meet a lot of the kids that I went to school with, including Michael McKeown over here. He seems to be the MC.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit older than Michael. Not an awful lot, but a little bit. I knew Jimmy, Father Jimmy McKeown. Played football with him back in the early 50s. And he's here also, he's around somewhere. Maybe I'll get to talk to him later on. But at this point now, I'll turn you over to Michael and Teresa. Maybe she would have better memories of Miss Scarlett than I.
Well, I just one memory I have of Vera Carey McCarthy. I used to do her hair in Baltimore, and she was such a lovely person, and she still is.
Thank you very much. Oh.
Thank you very much, Teresa. That was very nice. Now we have Pat Duffy, who also came all the way from America. Maybe you would have something you'd like to say, Pat.
Thank you so much. This is a wonderful I'm lost for the word. To be here, to come all the way from America for this, it is just lovely to meet everybody and so many people that I haven't seen in years and years. And I have lovely memories of going to Fenagh School. Like I remember, like for me it was Mrs. Gannon and Master Wren in my days, and let me tell you, it was like, he was tough but he was good, and I have very, very pleasant memories of it, and I wish to thank everybody for this lovely occasion and so grateful to be a part of it today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you.
That's for this fella.
Oh, is that for him?
Oh yeah, that's for him. He's entitled to that now after this.
What breed of pony is he?
I don't honestly know. I just bought him there last Tuesday for this because I couldn't get a donkey.
Yeah.
And he's very small, but he'll grow a bit more.
Mind the cable, mind the
Sorry.
cable.
You remember Courtney? Courtney's were, they used to have a little horse and trap just like this too.
Yeah.
Sorry, could you just move over there? Because this one's
sure.
trying to fill up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brian Kennedy, thanks very, very much for coming today with this beautiful restored trap that belonged to the former teacher, Miss Scotland, so many years ago. Could you tell us, Brian, how you acquired this trap?
I bought it off P. Mulvey in Gubbs about 12 years ago, and the shafts were in bad condition and the wheels were in bad condition at that time, and he had just thrown it outside and covered with a bit of polythene at that stage. I had left it in a shed hoping to restore it at some stage, and earlier in the year a friend of mine, he's a priest in the missions, and he asked me if he could take it and restore it. And I was only too delighted. So he restored it with the help of a man from Tullamore. He was a travelling man who made rebuilt the wheels. There's approximately a third of the original wheels there, but the body is completely original. And when we were restoring it, we found a date on the axle, 1899. So it was then we started to trace to see where it come from before P. Mulvey bought it. And we found it was this Miss Scollin that owned it.
So you didn't know when you were buying it that it belonged to Miss Scollin, obviously?
No, I didn't know. It was only late that I found out.
There must be an awful lot of work in restoration.
There's a lot of work, although I did very little of it. I was very lucky in getting Father Bill Gent to take it on and to do it, and Don McKeown and Damien Martin did the striping on it. So I was very lucky with it. I had very little to do with it.
Thanks again, Brian. Thanks very much.
In 1924 to Fenagh School.
Do you remember any of the pupils who went to school in your time?
Yes, I do. Kevin Leddy, Tommy Harkin, Francie Harkin, Eddie Gallagher, Sean Gallagher, Michael Fox, and Sonny Fox, and many, many more.
Son, I often heard you talk about the number of pupils that came to Fenagh School from Ahavatin. Can you recall any of that for us?
32 children came out Fenagh Beg Lane from Ahavatin and Fenagh Beg, all at the one time. Today there's one man
One resident
in Ahavatin.
Changed times.
That's right.
Son, can you recall any characters that were around in those days?
Well, yes, I can. There were so many characters in my time that if I started to tell you about them, I would be here for an hour.
Well, tell us about some of them anyway.
But I'll tell you one of them. Gusty Welsh. He was the greatest character ever lived in Fenagh.
Yes,
He went to school in my day.
I say. Gusty died young, didn't he?
Died young.
Well, he was some character, I believe.
The greatest ever was in Fenagh.
Any story come to mind about Gusty?
Well, we used to go to football matches,
Yes.
and your dad as well, Tommy Kerrigan, Pat Heaney,
Right.
and Gusty always got into the car. He was always handy and easy to get in with, and you couldn't keep him out.
And you know he was in it.
And no one slept in the car while he was there.
Did that indeed. Look, son, thanks very much for telling us
Welcome.
more stories,
Right.
and I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks very much.
Francis McManus, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
Can you tell us when you went to Fenagh School?
1949. Although in this book I noticed it's 1950 or 1951, but in fact it was 1949.
If you say that, John, we'll have to believe.
Yeah,
Any memories from your time in Fenagh School that you'd like to share with us today?
several.
Or just give us one or two.
Some more easily to share than others. One would be the teaching of the long catechism,
None of us ever forgot that.
with which I had great difficulty.
How much of it can you remember today, John?
The way I interpret it, I can remember most of it, but I'll just give you this little story from Master In, and it'll tell you what my status in the catechism class was at that time. That time there were 4 schools in the parish, and at the time of confirmation, the bishop would interview a selected number from each school, boys and girls, and he would ask them a few questions and they would answer, and of course they were judged by the quality of the answer. And in my case, Master In was selecting the boys and the girls from Fenagh who would be chosen to answer these, go up to the bishop. And there were just from memory, about 8 boys in the confirmation class, because the classes were grouped like 4th, 5th, 6th and so on. And he went down the line. Now, if he calls 1 boy from Fenagh, 2 from Cornagon, 3 from Manit, the boy that will go up is boy A from this class. And he got towards 6 and 7 and 8, which were the lower numbers in the class. And he said, now, should he call 6 boys from Fenagh, I think Brendan Byrne will be the man to go up there. And should he call 7 boys from Fenagh, the man to go up should be Sean Meehan, I think. I hope he said he doesn't, but should it come to it. But he said, Lord, between us and all harm, should he ask for 8 boys from Fenagh, well, I'm afraid, John Francis McManus, you'll have to be the boy. So that'll tell you now my status in the long catechism.
Okay, John.
Yeah.
Now, you're a businessman in England. Would you think that your education in Fenagh National School gave you the base to build on?
Most definitely. And many times I think back about who gave us the basic values which we have today. And I have to say that parents, teachers, community, but ranking very highly in that would be teachers. And those values have stuck. And the 3 R's have stuck: reading, writing, arithmetic. And they were so valuable all through life, and the basis was Fenagh National School. One would have to say that. Where else would it come from? You know, that's what it's given me. Values above all else. Yeah.
John, what changes do you see around Fenagh since you left? In the late 50s, was it, John? Early 60s?
Yeah. Late 50s.
50s.
Early 60s, yeah.
Yeah.
61.
Nearly 40 years ago.
Yeah, nearly 40 years ago. Phenomenal changes. Phenomenal. Obviously, standard of housing, cars. There were ponies and traps and old cars in the late 50s, early 60s. The odd person would have a new car. There were still Hackney cars being done in Fenagh.
That's right.
But most of all, the change in the young people.
Yes.
In the late 50s or early 60s, you could identify the region from which a young person came by his accent and his manner and his dress even. And that is completely changed today. You can look at any one of these young boys or girls today and you couldn't tell from which part of Ireland they came, whether they came from town or country. You couldn't judge them by their accent or anything else. The standard of education has increased 100%, and their presentation and their confidence. Young lads were shy and retiring in my era and would keep their heads down and keep a low profile. And today, no, they're so confident, and it's great.
It is indeed, John. It is indeed. Just briefly, and very briefly, John, could you tell us what this weekend means to you?
It's hard to sum it up in a few short words, but I've met people here today whom I haven't seen for 38 years. And but for the name tag on their coat, or but for an introduction, I wouldn't know who they were. And it's so lovely just to renew that acquaintance. And we may not see these people again, or they may not see us. That above all, and the community spirit.
Yes.
It's so lovely to see the community spirit, and to see names which go back for generations, family names which go back for generations. You know, you have people like the McLaughlins, your own McKeowns, and you can go up there to Fenagh Graveyard and you'll see those names on headstones going back for 4, 5, 6 generations. And that sense of belonging and that sense of community. And I fear that it's so fast disappearing. It's disappeared in the cities. It doesn't happen in the cities. But even here, it's beginning to disappear. And there are obviously newcomers to the village and names. I saw a girl on the road the other day and I said, "What's your name?" And, you know, that's another thing. Going back to the 60s, you meet a girl on the road and say, "What's your name?" And you automatically knew who she was. But I'll meet some... you see a family resemblance. Here you'll ask a girl, "What's your name?" And there'll be a name mentioned and you won't know. You know, there'll be somebody new in the village, you know. None the worse for that, of course. But, yes, the sense of community and that the community values.
Okay,
that's
John.
what it means to us. Yeah.
Thanks very much for talking with us.
Thanks,
and enjoy your weekend.
Yeah. Thanks for all your efforts.
Thank you very much
in organising this.
Thank you.
Past students and friends, it's my pleasant duty here this evening to welcome everybody to this historic location, very lovely location, on this historic occasion, the centenary reunion of the old school in Fenagh. We all share the common experience here this evening, well, the past students do, share the common experience of having attended that old school and all the memories that that evokes. It's an evening for memories and for reliving the past and reawakening acquaintances, meeting people that we haven't seen for a very long time in some cases. People have come here from very far in many cases. People have come from just down the road, but all in all, it's a very memorable occasion, and I hope everybody enjoys it. For many people, looking around Fenagh is probably a bit different, quite a bit different from when they attended the old school. It's still basically a small rural place with its own natural charm, but it has changed in many ways. We all remember the fact, in fact very few of us remember seeing electricity in the old school. Only probably pupils of the last 5 years. Running water was unheard of. Telephones was something they had in cities. Nonetheless, in these primitive conditions, life has own charm and quality, and people enjoyed their school experiences. I suppose the essentials were there, even though the practicalities of comfort weren't available. People got a good basic education, and I suppose what contributed to this was the quality of the teaching in the school, and also the interest of the parents of us as children. The inspiration, I suppose, and the dedication of the committee, but I think we must particularly refer to our chairman, Patrick Greenman, whose work in this project was enormous. Some of the qualities that he contributed to this was the ability to get people to work with him. He managed to hook in a committee, despite our natural reluctance, I suppose, to get involved in any extra work. Most of us are already busy enough. But he had a great ability of, I suppose, twisting your arm without you feeling too much pain. And I suppose that probably best describes it. And getting you to commit yourself to do things before you had realised what you had done, like acting as MC, for instance. He had a great ability to get people to work, but he certainly didn't shun work himself. From one meeting to the next, he managed to have an enormous amount of work done, and I think that speaks for itself. I would like to particularly welcome our oldest member, past student member here today. That's Frank McGrail. I think he deserves a special word for thanks. I think great credit also goes to the people from distant parts who made a great effort to come here and to make this occasion complete, because it's only comes together with the presence of so many people from different generations, different decades, but with the one common experience that I have referred to. One of the main proceedings of the evening is to launch our magazine, which many of you have already seen, and I think you will appreciate has been a very valuable contribution to this overall celebration. We have selected, as a committee, we have selected our veteran member, and I hope you won't mind me referring to him in those terms, and that's Son McLaughlin. So I'm going to call on Son to officially launch the commemorative booklet of our centenary celebration.
Past pupils and friends, I was delighted to be asked to launch the Fenagh School commentary booklet. Over the last 9 months or so, I have been working with the committee, organising the reunion and the magazine. In a situation like this, I am grateful to be here and to have been asked to perform the launch of this collection of memories, photographs, articles and stories which make me up our magazine. A central part of our school reunion celebrates the production of a magazine. It gives people a chance to share their memories and stories with others who would have shared experience. When you have time to read the magazine, you might remember the gasping on the heights of the goal post in Fenagh football field, and Vera Carey did on her first day to school. Certainly some of the younger past pupils will know the prisoners who were released and was ordered by Jack McManus, the Lord rest him, his soul. And some may even remember the day that Father Jimmy Bland turned his hand to Barbreen during lunchtime. Probably the most valuable part of the magazine is that when all the excitement and celebrations of reunion has died down and people have gone back to their four corners of the world, they will have with them a meaningful sovereign of their memorial events, something they can take out and row through in front of their fires on a long winter's night when Fenagh might be very far away. Putting a magazine together is a different task, but putting the magazine together was labour of love. When the committee asked for articles and paragraphs of the magazine, they were amazed at the wealth of material which was offered. On behalf of the committee, I would like to thank everyone who submitted articles and photographs. Without them, there would be no magazine. But a special word of thanks must go to the editor and chairman, Pacho Greenan. His enthusiasm, his dedication and hard work ensured that the magazine we have here today came into existence. I know you will appreciate the great effort he has made and the great success he has achieved. Reverend Father, sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I formally launched the Fenagh School Cemetery Reunion magazine, and I trust it would provide you with many interesting amusements and memories. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Son. Now it's time for our chairman's address. So I'd like to call on our chairman, Pacho Greenan, to say probably more than a few words to you.
First of all, I'd like to thank Pat and Son for their generous comments. I'll tell you one thing, it was much easier to compile a magazine and to do an awful lot of work than for to make a speech to you people. I was actually so busy for the last few days that I didn't have time to rehearse my speech, so I'll probably be reading most of it. Fellow past pupils and friends, I'm very happy to be here today as a past pupil and chairman of the organising committee. Today and tomorrow is the culmination of an idea which started almost 12 months ago. A number of reunions have taken place in this county over the last few years, and with the centenary of our school coming up, we were encouraged to get our own show on the road. The result is that we have people here in Fenagh today from 4 corners of the earth. Indeed, we have 4 continents represented: America, Australia, Africa, and of course Europe. I would like to extend a Céad Míle Fáilte Raibh Gach Duine. Our school, village and parish are greatly honoured by your presence here. It is now 33 years since the school closed. During the 77 years of its existence, 365 boys and 333 girls